That's right. Uncontrollable increase. That's right. Person power. This and the ground. That's right, folks. Money got a neck. Folks, wherever you're joining us from, cross post, share the damn live, smash that emoji button, and partner with us as well, folks. Money got to make the pay increase. Stunned us as we were coming on, folks. We had to hold a couple of minutes to get things right. It stunned us. We had to catch ourselves. With the 8%, we had to catch ourselves, good folks. We had to catch ourselves. How are you folks doing out there? How it hit y'all? Where were you when it hit you? Pace and power, guys. Lots to discuss this evening. Lots and lots to discuss, including the pay increase, the adjustments. It's the adjustments for us. Good to have you folks, each and every one of you. Where were you folks when the pay increase hit? Good to have you, Adrian Saunders, Bella Mona, Debbie Wills, Martha Harris. Good to have you, Morgan Monroe, Laverne Peters. I see Pamela Gurick, Paula Greaves. I see Annalise is here, and St. Romain. Bob Annie is here, and Glenford Gordon. I see Kim Light and Randolph Benjamin. I see Stan Board, Camille Cox. Camille from Region 6. Pace and power, Camille Cox. Pace and power, man. Dan Fordyce is here as well. Samuel. Jamal Aziz is here. Denise Mitchell. Stan Bourne and Dan Abrams. Frank Tyler. Good to have you folks here. Where were you when the pay increase? Not. Where were you when it hit? Folks, where were you? Mavis Davis, well, we can talk about that among other things. Good to have you. Bernadette James, Wendy Farley, Volme Wilson, Patricia Kissoon. It's the increase for us. Pace and power will be. Just may have a guest dropping by as well, good folks. Pace and power. Monica for Met, Joan Adrian. I see Francesca and Gisela, Andrew, Diane, Andy Williams. All the good folks are here with us, folks. Share the damn live. Smash that emoji button. Thank you, Giselle Chipper, who has just contributed to our program on YouTube itself. For those of you who are joining us on YouTube, if you look at the bottom of the comment section, if you ask for, it's going to help you. Look at the bottom of the comment section, you see that dollar sign. You can contribute to our program directly through that route. Yep. For the others, we got Cash App and Zelle and PayPal. MMG, MoneyGram and Western Union. This is the anniversary month, folks. Bless us with a small piece. And let me go down the road. Folks, the increase, well, the only small piece is not going to be accompanied by an 8%. I want you on this rule of thumb. Money in the bank, 8%, folks, 8%. I see Edward Gonzalez is here and Ismail Lamy, Sheila Hazel and Gilbert. All the other folks are here with us, guys. When you're ready, be ready for the notes. And Angela Chotes, Vanessa Garnett. Folks, the whole thing just trace into tailspin here. You're ready to come with one thing and then boom! Breaking news. Brenda Oliver, Sheena Hazel, everyone small, good to see you, Kurt Heidekan. Guys, share the damn live. Smash that emoji button. Eden, I think if we just make this announcement so that we can have this thing in our program. I think so. It's practically PRing. I think so. Kelston, good to have you. And I said, Cicely, good to have you. And Penelope Hudson, good to have you as well. And all the other folks who are joining us. Great to see you guys out this evening. Everett Small, Greta Jones. Respect and manners, Greta. Respect and manners. The fight card is set. Daniel Daly, Audrey Watt, Bob Addy, Wilmer Grant. All you other fantastic, beautiful folks. 8%. How it's looking by y'all? I know some people calculating the 8% right now. Pop. Big calculator. Minus the inflation, cost of living, 8%. Minus taxes. How it's looking? You're minus 0 yet? Roxanne, Odessa, and all the other folks join us, guys. We're ready. If you guys are ready with the fight card, we are ready to get going. Jacqueline Argyle is here, and Winella Garnett is here, Bob Ann, and all the other folks, Babani and Camille Cox. Yep, good to see you folks. Rosamond and Deborah Sharon and Lynch, all the other folks who join us, guys. Share the live for us. Smash that emoji button. And let me go down the road, good folks. Let me go on the road. Guys, if you're ready, we're ready. Ready with the fight card. John Miller, we see you there. Lola Greenwich and Charles Nelson. Jordan Cook, Chinsing Henry. Guys, we're going to have a guest dropping by. We're going to have a guest dropping by. I saw him adjusting his tie and powdering his nose and such and so forth, guys. He's going to be with us shortly. I see Roxanne Odessa and Cassandra Keeler. Cassandra, how are you doing? We got the fight card, folks. The fight card will show. Boom! Henry Fitz. Good to have you. I like it when it's big like that. Good to have you, folks. And of course, we got a bit of breaking news, folks. We got a bit of breaking news. Guys, are you seeing that? We got a bit of breaking news. Help us there. Help us. Joyce and Yolette, Maxine Still, Beatrice Selby, Jarrett, good to have you. Winston Carr, yep. We need 8% more of this slide. Dan Graves, Andy, Maxine Still, Dennis, and all the other folks. Jennifer Johnson, how are you doing? My grandfather's name was Johnson, surname Johnson, and he was from West Coast Mobistu. Yep, Gisela, Shirley Crichton, Volmy Wilson, Lynn McDonald. Yep, good to have you, Lynn, and all the other folks there joining us. Pace and power, guys. Pace and power. Breaking news, folks. Breaking news this evening. Of course, money got to make. What are we going to tell you all? Money's got to make. Got the money got to make. What are we foreign to, good folks? What are we foreign to? As we are coming on, breaking news across the airwaves, the installed regime has given 8% increase for public servants. Yep. And they said now they can look at different categories next week. Right? Adjustment to different categories of public sector workers coming next week, but it's an 8% retroactive across the board. An 8% retroactive across the board as we were coming on, folks. As we were coming into the studios, bring it back for us, guys. As we were coming on, everybody was out there making this announcement.
God, I now wish to announce that my government will be paying an across-the-board increase of 8% to public servants, teachers, members of the disciplined services, constitutional office holders, as well as government pensioners. This increase will be granted retroactively the 1st of January 2022. Work will start immediately to ensure that this increase is processed and paid to eligible employees together with their December salary. As I just indicated, further announcements will be made next week in relation to the specific categories of employees to which I referred earlier in the first phase of adjustment. Fellow Guyanese, my government remains resolutely committed to ensuring that the lives of all Guyanese are improved steadily and in a tangible and demonstrable manner as we work towards realizing national prosperity for the benefit of all Guyanese. Thank you very much, and may God bless you all, communities. Fellow Guyanese.
Yep. That's how it went down, folks. 8%. Folks, joining me this evening, I have the honor and privilege of talking with Attorney at Law, Darren Wade. Darren, how much 8% hit you? Attorney at Law Wade. Thank you, guys. How it hit you, Darren? How it hit you? That's what I want to know. Where it hit you and how it hit you. Please let us know. Where and how, Darren? Where and how?
Good night, Sharon, and good night to all of your listeners, your viewers. It's definitely a pleasure. I always have the opportunity to speak to our people and for them to understand and what is going on. Like, very much. How did it hit me? That settled. If you call, we did a course that you usually call Economics 110 with Roger Rogers.
Correct.
And I could recall part of the that dealt with the issue of scarcity, that resources are always scarce. And governments will always have that one dilemma. What are they going to do with this country resources? Are we going to use it to appease our supporters, or are we going to use it to gain new support base? And that's one thing governments are always faced with, one dilemma. I believe that the government has settled that they will never get the public servants vote. They will never get the public servant support. So they will not invest in the public servants. So they care nothing about the public servants. I believe in relation to that dilemma, they are settled in their ways. So the public servants should not expect anything good from this government. One must also look at inflation. One must also look in a sharp increase in prices.
Yeah,
Food price.
yeah.
I believe recently you would have highlighted that the Bureau of Statistics would have said that in the last year, I believe, food prices raised by 33%. You would have shared something of the sort recently. So when one take into context inflation and what is going on in the country, 8%, there's no raise. Nothing was increased. Salary was not increased. Because why the quantum was increased, the value of them, there's no increase in value. So I want, at least that is the reality that we're faced with. You may have a quantum, the quantum may sound more, but in reality, your purse, your disposable income, that's a fancy term, where you could spend, you're spending power then. As we are saying in the street, they're spending power a day. They're spending power a day. I think, but a person may understand this, So when we speak and you talk about disposable income, your ability to spend what you're not to spend, the reality is that, as the woman said at Starbrook Market, cost of living gone sky high. We need one man, 1 week man, weekend man, 1 fortnight man, and 1 monthly man. But that is our way in expressing how the inflation is affecting her. So when everyone speaks about 8%, our people must understand and appreciate there's no increase in value. The weight of your currency cannot provide the same thing that it used to do on a year ago, more so in David Granger, under David Granger government. One must also take into consideration that for the last 2 years of the David Granger administration, there were no budget because Parliament was sharing that story. You understand? So when we take all of these factors into consideration, there were no increase. There were no increase.
And that's a fantastic point, because I think it was around June, inflation was about 6%. And now could be easily 8 or 9%. So it's eating away that spending power all the time. And it is the housewives the mothers, and the women who do most of the marketing, who are going to know that acutely. And that is why we've already been seeing some very strong pushback on social media. And I don't think the unions are going to like this unilateral move at all.
Certainly not. I could recall Irfan Ali and Baron Jagdeo speaking in Parliament in relation to unilateral increase when it was way more significant. I remember Irfan, I think one point in time, I think the Granger government would have given like 20%, 16%, and so forth increase. And I think Irfan, I noticed our brother and comrade Christopher Jones just shared that on Facebook, where Irfan was saying, we would have given far more than 20%. Far more than 20%. What about our nurses? What about our teacher? But the man in office and the man forgot. I and someone pointed out only yesterday, Ashley Singh came out and said that the oil revenue, we did far more than that for Guyana's development. So someone intelligent person say, you know what?
Asking what we're gonna grab that video from Christopher Jones' page and have it for our viewers. But why is it, Attorney Law Wade, that the public service in this country can't taste the sweet of the oil well? Why is that? Where we get crumbs?
Which I think I answered that question before. I said that the issue of scarcity, the amount of money, the PPP understand and appreciate that public servants will never support them. What's her name? Sarah Lynch, the best friend, who's the best friend of Irfan Ali and Irfan Ali's wife. She visits the home, she lives with a little child. She probably make curry and she or cook up rice. Irfan claims he's a big cook up man and so forth. And so Sarah Lynch said that black women, Afro women, are one of the most marginalized group. And I suspect that in the public service, And we all know that statistically, a lot of persons in the public service are Afro-Guyanese and Afro women. Teacher, wherever you go, majority of are these persons. So whilst the best friend could say, oh, this group is marginalized and so forth, they don't care. In their mind, these people will never vote for them. So whatever resources they have, they must go into their community of course who they believe supports them. That is how the money must be spent. Albeit the last chunk go to the friends, because when the money is distributed and shared with big contract, and so the ordinary Indian man in Blackbush Pole, or ordinary Indian brothers and comrades in Blaymont, number 3 Blaymont, these poor people, these people in Plastic City, the ordinary Indian man in Plastic City, they won't benefit from this, But the close friends and so on, Yes, this major road, they go and they may go to the Amstel and get somebody to say, oh, all the significant improvements that you have made, but personally we're suffering. It is hard out there, Yeah, you may go to another community and say, okay, we're going to invest $200 million to build this, and we'll be doing this for you. We will go to Pigeon Island and say, we're going to give you $100 million and we're going to give you title for your land. But then we're going to go to Maka and we're going to say, we're going to bulldoze you, remove, or we're going to bulldoze you. So you see the difference in treatment. The PPP, I believe, is settled. They are settled that they're going to use the sort resources to appease their supporters as little as they can. Of course, the bulk will go to the cronies, the crow's friends. We saw suddenly the major contractor in Dubai with Irfan Ali, what that guy from Trinidad, his truck always bank. What his name? Junior Samuel, whatever his name. He was there in Dubai. The wives take out picture and all of these things.
Family favorites, I think it is that.
Nepotism and corruption. This government, how this government work is by uncle, your auntie, your nanny, your nenen. Everybody. That's how they. That's how this government operates. This government doesn't operate.
Yeah. Darren, please stay right there. Stay with us. For those folks who are now joining us, we're examining the proposed pay increase, this 8%, and then there's an adjustment for specific categories of public sector worker. Irfan Ali announced coming next week, and this was that announcement as we were coming on air this evening. Take a look, take a listen, folks.
Consistent with all these earlier measures, I've instructed that options be identified for adjustment to the salaries paid to a number of specific categories of public sector employees. These include, in the first phase, ranks of the police force, prison service, and fire service. Additionally, a similar exercise is currently being conducted, and recommendation be made in relation to specific categories of employees in our public healthcare system, including nurses, interns, doctors, and other healthcare professionals. In relation to these categories of employees, I'm planning to make a more detailed announcement during the course of next week. Meanwhile, fellow Guyanese, my government continues to value highly the hard work that government employees do every day in delivering services to the people of Guyana. In this regard, I now wish to announce that my government will be paying an across-the-board increase of 8% to public servants, teachers, members of the disciplined services, constitutional office holders, as well as government pensioners. This increase will be granted retroactively to 1st of January 2022. Work will start immediately to ensure that this increase is processed and paid to eligible employees together with their December salary. As I just indicated, further announcements will be made next week in relation to the specific categories of employees to which I referred earlier in the first phase of adjustment. Fellow Guyanese, my government remains resolutely committed to ensuring that the lives of all Guyanese are improved steadily and in a tangible and demonstrable manner as we work towards realizing national prosperity for the benefit of all Guyanese. Thank you very much, and may God bless you all.
We know there, Attorney Lawwade, that we didn't hear tax-free. So that might be the fine prints. You know, so you got to brace us over for that bit. Might be taxable.
Well, I would have mentioned before, Sharon, that with this increase, there's no increase. So because the spending power, so that even will make it worse. You know, we gone are the days when Minister Jordan, who used to stand up in Parliament and say, retroactive pay, tax free. I remember those are the joyous days. You know, I see somebody say, you never miss the water till the well run dry. We caused Jordan, we caused Granger, but look at what we are going through now. Look at it today, and some of our people, some people still believe that this government is great. Some people still believe this government is doing wonderful things. Some people still believe in the one Guyana, such a farce. I saw some pastors, Sharon. I saw your pastor there too, Sharon. From Durban Street was there. See how many pastors went this false narrative, and let me say this here, quite frankly, and Sharon, I think you raised this issue earlier. When we spoke, but not in these terms. There can be no one Guyana if the resources cannot equitably be distributed. You cannot be one Guyana when a majority of the segment of society is suffering, a large segment of your society is suffering. There can be no one Guyana. There can be no one Guyana when the only when persons that are close, only when persons who are close to the government are enjoying the sweet, are enjoying the oil wealth and so forth. No, certainly not. And only when the government...
I think there are thousands of people across this country who are going to agree with you, and internationally. Here is that video that you alluded to earlier, with the promise made by the PPP and them trying to push APNU in a certain direction. And mind you, this was when we didn't have oil wealth. Now we have it, and we see them going in a totally different direction. Take a look, folks, and take a listen.
We promise to increase the salaries of public servants by far more than 20%. By far more than 20%. Mr. Speaker, what about the nurses, the teachers? What about the police workers, the police officers? Aren't they equally important? Aren't they equally important? Mr. Speaker, we promise to increase the salaries of public servants by far more than 20%. By far more than 20%. Mr. Speaker, what about the nurses, the teachers? What about the police workers, the police officers? Aren't they equally important? Aren't they equally important?
There we have it. Attorney Wade, there we have it.
That guy, some people thank clothes, but they mean people. That guy, don't care what. He's a refurbished, reconditioned, second-hand. What do you consider him? Because this guy is just like a fraudster. This guy, is so hypocritical. This guy believes in the things that he says. He put on a short jacket, he walk, he shake hand, he say one Guyana, and people must forget. People must forget that you promised 50%. People must forget that you had 19 charges and it only removed because the change in government. People must forget that you went to a fake university in your bedroom. You created a university in your bedroom, also known as University of High Flood. We must forget that.
As we're examining this proposed pay increase of 8% retroactive, this is one of the headlines we saw just today. This is one of the headlines. It says, labor shortage. Guyana is examining bringing in labor from Japan, the United Arab Emirates, the UAE, And other places they're examining these models of importing labor. So what are we paying them? People coming here for work for 200 US a month, 300 US a month. This seems quite impractical.
I think you read that incorrectly, Sheriff. Put it back. You read it incorrectly. You read it? Let me read it. Let me read. You put it on. Let me read. Let me read it, and then I will explain. I think you read it incorrectly. You put it in the back. Right. Government examining Japan, UAE, orders model to bring in foreign workers. That's it. Government examining Japan, UAE, the United Arab Emirates, other models to bring in foreign workers. Good. Let me explain that to you, Sharon. Let me explain that now. The PPP is saying, can you hear me? The PPP is saying that we are going to bring in people from Bangladesh. We are going to bring people from India to vote for us. We are going to change the racial landscape of Guyana. Because I am not a fool. When you're going to talk about UAE model and Japan model, you could also go to Qatar and all these places, because what you have in those places, the one thing that is similar in these places are immigrants from Japan, from Bangladesh and India going to work in these cases in those countries. That is what they're saying. And that, my people, so we don't want Asians to come to Guyana. That is what it is. So we're examining those models. That is what it is. But Sharon, if they go down that road, organizations, civil society, everybody in Guyana must be prepared to rise up against that lawlessness. Everyone must be prepared, right-thinking members of society. That is what they're saying. What they're saying there, what they want to do is to eliminate the voices of mainly Afro-Guyanese. That is what they're saying. And I would like to see a statement by ACDA, IPADG, and all organizations that it relates, that looks into the interests of African Guyanese, because that is what they're doing. That is what they're doing. They are afraid. They're aware that because the support base is thin enough, it is thin enough. They know that if we go to with a cleanless election, they will lose. So what they want to do, and I remember Bangladesh and India are Commonwealth countries. So they just need to be here for 1 year to vote. So we're going to bring tens of thousands of people from Bangladesh and India to Guyana. And yes, one must take into consideration that they want to bring people from Afghanistan as well.
Yep. And
from Afghanistan. Yes. So
while we grapple with that, attorney at law, we got a lot of problems home that this 8% ain't gonna fix. The 8% ain't gonna fix. Look at some water woes around the country that people are facing. Don't let's go too far. Right in Georgetown, look in Lime Street. Some folks sent us some footage. Lime Street in Georgetown, the national capital city. Look at this water condition with 8%.
What's the color of this water? How coming out your pipe? What's this? And we sit down quiet. And up to went in forward. This never happened. And the secretary said, what this? This water come with pipe. Jail is not a real place, what? And everybody's quiet, what? What? You look coming out your pipe.
There you have it, Attorney Laway.
Sherrod,
that's the water condition. National capital city.
I believe the gentleman explained it to all. You see, that never happened on the Grange. The problem is when you have incompetent people, you fire all the good people and you fire all of them. You knock them off. You get only John. As somebody say, she's minister of everything. minister walk behind Irfan. The only thing that we should do is to wipe Irfan's shoe. No disrespect to her. But if somebody pointed out what she was doing the other day with the bishops, if she's the minister of tourism, what's the relevance there? She's the minister, you know, when there's a black person in the crowd, you take her and put her there. You see the thing? So, this never happened. On the great job. Yes, let me get to John's point. She said in Parliament, and correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm man enough to apologize if this is so, if I'm incorrect, that the reason why these people were fired was because they would have prevented the progress of government.
Correct. They were political and preventing the progress.
Yes, they would have. So look at the water. So you're not gonna have all these people, but the evidence doesn't support your theory on it. I believe you just stay in your office somewhere, sit down and do some work, man. You're walking too much behind your fan. The people going in for fire for the building bridge on age. Walking in
she is a cultural attaché.
Yes.
Ethnic attaché.
Yes.
So while that was Line Street, look, Linden, the water situation in Linden is countrywide chaos. The water situation in Linden.
Okay. And then you're on the slot.
Just another day in the oil producing republic, Attorney Clawin. Just another day.
The pipe bleeding with the blood coming through the pipe. Incompetence. I mentioned this song on David Hines show, Dr. Hines show, and he commended me for it. I know you lived in that one, and you're going back to basics. Huh?
Yeah.
He said, the pipe. He said, no regard for the poor consumer. No regard for the poor consumer. Going back to basics, Sharon. And Sharon, if you could, I don't know how your technician they are good. If they could pull up that song. He talk about the potholes in the street until they invent that yard to jump.
We are going to certainly try. But I'm happy you bring up the whole issue of potholes, because the residents in Graham Street in Pleasance, they want their streets fixed. Graham Street, Pleasance.
Graham Street. The road. Look at this. Graham Street, Pleasance. The road with the village office to the front, that's the road, Graham Street. To the back. Imagine the road, grass growing in the middle of the road. Imagine this. People have the vehicle, they can't even come down here with it. They have to park it. Park it to the front or by some family member or something, just because the road in this condition. Look at this. We need the minister to check into this. And nobody's coming out. Nobody's saying anything. They fall off here as a show. And they just stop. They never continue. This is the road. People have to be putting wood to make a truck to walk. See?
Attorney Clawin, they say leadership must fix problems, not just photo up with Onich Waldron and the likes.
I tell you, You know, and I hear the woman say we have to park the vehicle until you could invent a car to jump. We gonna park. We gonna walk in the mud. I'm sure when you look Pleasance, no, I got to mention this. I have to say it. Forgive me. When the people of Pleasance are crying out for roads, many of the persons, and Pleasance, one of the communities that voted extremely heavily in support of the then government. When you think about those communities, Sherrod, and we compare to what transpired, I remember under Grecian government, they took the stuff that you used to make the bitumen to Wakenham and Leg One, and I think Gadish my Paul made that point too as well. I believe the then minister himself, I was in conversation with him at the time, and he made that point. Wakenham and Leg One, he carried that asphaltic plant to ensure that the communities excellent roads, Sherrod. And when you look at the results, the elections results, it clearly shows that that Grey Jacob was not discriminating. When we look at Region 9, I went to let them beautiful roads. Madia, all of these interior places that don't support, that don't vote for APNU, while in government receive excellent roads because the government believe in equity and fairness, and that equity and fairness, the people that support us now are crying out and saying we were in government, and the people of our boys don't have the same issues with roads too. When you are in government, you all didn't look after us with these roads, because it bleeds my heart. It pains me right now to see people in Pleasance just a stone throw away 3 years out of government, and that's the condition of the road. You must feel out, because the people of Pleasance, thousands, I think 5,000 or 6,000 votes. I think Pleasance of itself gave us a seat in Parliament.
And they will tell us. They will tell us that you have some other streets right next door that are being done very well. As a matter of fact, I think the bishop has a huge house in Pleasance. His streets are done very nicely and very smoothly. Big house there in Pleasance. But more and more people are seeing this administration for who they are. And quite recently, for instance, we saw the U.S. Congressman Hakeem Jeffries. Well, I know the PPP right now, getting cold sweat, because we saw some information recently which suggests that Hakeem Jeffries could become the highest ranking Democrat in the House of Representatives. He looks as though he's going to be taking over from Nancy Pelosi. Guys, could bring up the graphic for us. It looks as though he's going to be taking over from Nancy Pelosi here in just a matter of, I think they're going to be voting on November 30th for that member. And it seems that he is a likely candidate. I hear the folks are very, very worried. He was out there quite recently. I don't know if we have it. We can pull it up quickly. Talking again about the inequity, the same issues you were just talking about there. The inequities and how the resources supposed to be shared freely in this country, fairly and equitably, and we have to do away with racial discrimination. There's my guys. Thank you very much. We got to do away with racial discrimination.
It's significant that such a senior statesman, such a senior person in U.S. administration could make this type of comments. I pray for him. I thank him for whatever he's doing. I met him sometime in July, August. I remember attending church with him. I remember the preacher praying for both of us from the Seventh-day Adventist church that we attended in New York, Brooklyn. So I wish him the best, and I thank him. I trust that God will strengthen him, and that he will continue to fight for equal justice, not only in the United States and America, but also here in Guyana, and for him to use his influence. Jared, we need a fair opportunity. Our voices must be heard in a democracy, and elections, and I believe we need to start putting this out. The elections, it has little to do on the day of election. Election is about the process. So with a bloated list, with all of the, the work that is being done prior to the election to suppress
I've
the
lost
will of the
visual.
people, one kind of turn up, like what's her name said, oh, we could get something, and I want to say this on your program because I
I've
want
lost
somebody
visual.
to cut it out, and I want somebody to send it to Jane Miller and tell her that Darren Wade said that our comments
I've lost
as deep as
visual.
wounds that our ancestors did to us. Let her know that. Because the wounds they were never healed. But she made them start to bleed more. Let her know that her comment about the list has caused further damage to the wounds that our ancestors, and now she continue to do it.
Yeah.
It is
I'm
a
going to circle
mortal
back
wound.
to Ambassador Jane Miller in just a second. But here were the comments quite recently of the Congressman Hakeem Jeffries in New York about our country and what we should be doing.
Democracy is under attack here in America and all throughout the world. It's very important that people of goodwill continue to stand up for the principle of equal protection under the law, the principle of liberty and justice for all, the principle of the preeminence of the rule of law, and the principle that racial injustice should not be tolerated anywhere in this world, including in Guyana. I look forward to continuing to work with you to make sure that we address the challenges that your family members and friends and fellow countrymen in Guyana are confronting as a result of the situation that they have faced over the last few years. Together, I'm confident that we can come up with solutions and make progress to address the challenges down in Guyana and all across the world, including right here in the United States of America. And if we stay strong and resilient and unified in our efforts to lift up democratic institutions and to promote equality under the law, I'm confident that in the United States, in Guyana, and throughout the world, the best is yet to come. God bless you. God bless our community. And God bless your efforts to bring about peace, justice, and equality.
So actually,
Well said.
after a year, handouts after handouts to lots of people and lots of communities, millions of dollars we saw being given out while West all places now. The private sector, the public sector time, 8%.
8% of nothing, because within as we mentioned with the inflation and the rising price, I think their own Bureau statistics said 30% or 33%, something about. It is nothing. The standing power doesn't change. The dollar is weaker. You can't do much with it. It's a sad reality in Guyana. People are suffering. But we were warned. I remember the prophet that said that we're going to go through this hardship once we get into the government, and the reality is that we are going through it. And they like to make the excuse about the war, but but Sherrod, I'm the pumpkin, I'm the burro, I'm the alu, well, we'll bring in alu, I'm to cassava, edo, shello, tomato, one of those things that we produce right here in Guyana. Are those things affected by the world market? And and they talked about oil prices. Oil prices fluctuate all the time. I was checking 2007. Oil prices has
Yeah,
risen
but it's nice time
per
right
barrel.
now. It's nice time right now in the oil industry.
But let me say this:
It's nice time right now in the oil industry.
excellent point to raise. If Guyana would benefit from the rising price, because revenue, we will have more revenue coming in. and what it because a young man was telling me this yesterday, and our ports are so gullible sometimes that because of the thousands of persons on the oil rig, the large demand for vegetables and so has caused the price to rise. Irfan who's a dunce said that in region 3 and our people are running with it. Irfan with his fake degree said that in region 3 and our people are running with it. Let me say this. A simple research, a Google research, will tell you that about 180 to 200 persons could be on a deep sea oil rig at a time. What about that? So we don't have thousands of persons out there. We don't have thousands of persons from ExxonMobil in Guyana working. That is affecting the demand for vegetables. That is driving up prices. That's not the case. That's not the case. What we have is that incompetent. And you know, the PPP, I believe, is an excellent political party. I think they could politicize well. But they've always been poor administrators. Everything they touch is a disaster. They cannot do well. They are a stranger to good governance. They have a pathological problem when it comes to good governance. It is a disease. It's an epidemic that is affecting them. They cannot deliver. They cannot do well. It's an inability. It is an incapacity for them to deliver and do good. They cannot do it. Too much of things affect them from doing well. As I mentioned, somebody has to pick up a phone and make a call and get things. That's how they run. The system cannot work and it will never work. We remember our good friend, no other but Barry Jagdeo. In America, what he said, Sherrod, remind us, Sherrod. When the man raised the question about
I'm not too sharp this evening.
He said to the man, you have to let the system work. You cannot be ahead of going back. Let the system have other persons there. But then after
go to the offices, don't come in the living rooms. Go to the offices. You know, I turn it loud. For those folks who are joining us, we're discussing this 8% taxable increase, you know, against the inflation, rising inflation, rising cost of living. If an army made an announcement late this evening on the increase in public sector pay, 8% across the board, retroactive, 8% retroactive. Here's that announcement, and then we come back on the other side.
Communities. Fellow Guyanese, consistent with all these earlier measures, I've instructed that options be identified for adjustment to the salaries paid to a number of specific categories of public sector employees. These include in the first phase, ranks of the police force, prison service, and fire service. Additionally, a similar exercise is currently being conducted and recommendation be made in relation to specific categories of employees in our public healthcare system, including nurses, interns, doctors, and other healthcare professionals. In relation to these categories of employees, I'm planning to make a more detailed announcement during the course of next week. Meanwhile, fellow Guyanese, my government continues to value highly the hard work that government employees do every day in delivering services to the people of Guyana. In this regard, I now wish to announce that my government will be paying an across-the-board increase of 8% to public servants, teachers, members of the disciplined services, constitutional office holders, as well as government pensioners. This increase will be granted retroactively to 1st of January 2022. Work will start immediately to ensure that this increase is processed and paid to eligible employees together with their December salary. As I just indicated, further announcements will be made next week in relation to the specific categories of employees to which I referred earlier in the first phase of adjustment. Fellow Guyanese, my government remains resolutely committed to ensuring that the lives of all Guyanese are improved steadily and in a tangible and demonstrable manner as we work towards realizing national prosperity for the benefit of all Guyanese. Thank you very much, and may God bless you all, communities.
And
That's
you know, that was
that,
the
that's the
that was
third
the announcement.
8%. You know, I cry for our teachers. I cry for nurses. I cry for police and for our public servants. You know, at the end of the day, they have to put the children also. I cry for Sheriff. These are the persons who feel the brunt of the malpractice, the malgovernment, you know, the incompetence, the discriminatory allocation of resources. You know, these are the persons I cry for. You know, the mother who have to leave her children at night to go and work unattended. That is the reality. I remember the woman from Mocha who left her children to go and work at night. People are suffering in this country. No fun and joke sharing.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
hard.
Like you cannot imagine.
It is the persons could only provide sometimes one meal a day, sometimes no meal per day. It is hard. It's rough out there.
Yep.
How they make it, making bread out of store. That is what people are doing to survive. Making bread out of stone. That's the reality
Correct.
of
Correct.
Guyana today. Oil-rich Guyana. You know, the expansion of poverty under the PPP government. And then we notice they got the woman. I noticed Ashley Singer Robert Prasad was with her at Amici Lyman. They were a bank representative here. They got it to change it from 2020 to 2019. And then going to cut South North afterwards. That is the reality.
And the thing is, the thing is, it's that much more painful when you had this kind of promise in the National Assembly just a few short months ago. It's even more painful.
You're about to play something?
Mr. Speaker, we promise to increase the salaries of public servants by far more than 20%. By far more than 20%. Mr. Speaker, what about the nurses, the teachers? What about the police workers, the police officers? Aren't they equally important? Aren't they equally important? Mr. Speaker, we promise to increase the salaries of public servants by far more than 20%. By far more than 20%. Mr. Speaker, what about the nurses, the teachers? What about the police workers, the police officers? Aren't they equally important? Aren't they equally important? Mr. Speaker,
Yep. Promises, 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 promises.
You know,
how long must we wait?
They could fool us sometimes, but not all the time. You know, Sherrod, better must come. In the days of slavery, 200 years, person born a slave, died a slave, their descendants got old, died, make children, 300 years. But one day, change will come. Change is going to come. I believe there's a song like that, right? The one of those soulful songs. Someone change is going to come. Change is going to come. And our people must believe. Our people must not give up hope. Our people must not give up hope. They must not say, oh, the PPP going to win the next because of the, yes, we have the list and so on. What they could do to ensure we have a clean list is to press through it. Join us as we continue to fight for a list. Join us. And then if at any point in time you're called upon to take certain actions in relation to the list, they must be prepared. They must be prepared, Sharon. When we're fighting in the trenches, we're fighting in the trenches. And also as politicians, members of parliament, the mayor, um, regional chairman, councillors, and so forth, at times we call upon, we may have to lead this fight. We have to lead the struggle. We have to lead the fight. We have to lead the struggle. We have to be together. There must be no segregation. In unity there is strength, or in their strength, yes.
Correct. Attorney Claude, before we let you go, we spoke quite recently with the mayor of Georgetown. We spoke with the mayor of Georgetown on the issue of the bloated voters list. We know you raised that point, and the comments of the UK ambassador, Jane Miller, Excellency, on that very subject matter. Here is the mayor of Georgetown on the issue of the list, and then I want to now get your thoughts on that issue.
Voters list that we presently have, it is something that in 2015, the PVP had made a statement in Stabrook News and calling for house-to-house registration since then. And when we had this issue lately with 2020 general regional election, they make mention again on the voters list. And it's something that our Guyanese people don't go back to the past and see what really political parties' statement they had made. And PVP should hold ransom of the statement they made since 2015, calling for a house-to-house registration. Why now you have the power, you're in this driving seat, why you don't want to have the house-to-house registration? And that is something raise eyebrows, especially young politicians like myself, who is trying to secure a better future for our generation to come. And that alone tell me something really happened to this list, something wrong with this list. Because it can't see that you call for this list to review and to have house-to-house registration in 2015 and continue to call for it. And now when you assume power with a bloated list, you don't want house-to-house registration. And I want to divert a little in the recount process with CARICOM, where CARICOM in the statement, in that report, make mention clear, very clear, that we need to rectify the list that we presently have. We need house-to-house registration. So all of these recommendations is made, and even the ambassadors and the high commissioners make mention of on this list. And today I am seeing a difference between ambassadors and the high commissioner's statement out there. And that is, for me, as a young politician, as a Guyanese, the diplomatic community is taking side in our country. And we have to be very careful on that. And we Guyanese people should not allow any diplomat to make such statement. Any, I'm not pointing out one, but any diplomat should not make statement to suit the Guyanese people life in this country. They are here for a purpose, and they should ensure that we have a clean list and we should have democracy in our nation. Not what is happening here. I met with many of the ambassadors, many of the high commissioners, and I said to them the issue that we have at the municipality level. To date, I never hear one of them pronounce or call upon the government to work with the capital city of this country. But we have people who take sides and say that we can use the list with safeguard. How can you safeguard a bloated list? Tell us how. You make this statement. Tell us how that we can use it. When you know for a fact, and the entire Guyana know for a fact, there is a bloated list. So we have to be very careful. I believe we should band together as political parties. We should be mature enough.
Well said.
Janet Longway, tell us how.
Well
Tell us
said.
how, attorney. Tell us how you can
Well,
safeguard a bloated list.
well said. I think the mayor he stopped short, but everybody know he was referring to Jane Miller. That's her name, right? The Commissioner Jane Miller. But
Jane Miller.
I've made my side clear, Sharon. Or comments has caused more damage to the wounds of slavery. She have insulted us all. She have insulted our ancestors. Because like Jane Miller believe that these are the days when our people give us a Bible and take out verses and so forth, and to keep us into subjection. We are educated, we are smart. And as the mayor said, all Guyanese are aware that there's a bloated list. Even the PPP is aware that it's a bloated list. And even the PPP is aware that we need a clean list because they themselves ask for a clean list. I don't know where Jane Miller is going to that. I don't know if Jane Miller wants to see blood. I don't know if Jane Miller wants to see that this country upturned before she change our thoughts. I don't know if that is our intention. But certainly, our comments are insult to all of us, insults more so to our ancestors, and our comments, as I said before, would have opened the wounds, not opened because they were never healed, has caused more damage to the wounds that was caused by our people. And I want to leave it there.
Yeah. As per your request, with this 8%, we're going back to basics.
We're going back to
basics, and we end our broadcast this evening with that song, Going Back to Basics. Thanks for joining us, Attorney at Lawwade.
Thank you.
And for bringing clarity to these issues. Thank you so much.
All listeners.
Going back to basics.
Can't hear. Can't hear.
All right, while the guys get that set, folks, that's going to do it for us at this end. We're going to come back with Going Back to Basics, and then we leave you with a shot, a pristine, almost perfect shot of the East Bank corridor there. And, you know, it's an expensive shot. Can't afford it with this 8%. Definitely, we will get no Wagyu, Attorney Lawwade, with this 8% at all. And last month, we might be getting up and leaving others at the dinner table with a bill to carry. But that's not the way to go at all. Going back to basics. Do the guys have it? Do they have it? Good to see you, Karen Black and Abiola Clark and Caroline Hertzen there and all the other folks. Marilyn Thomas, I got Michelle Jones, and I see Diane Abrams. Thanks for joining us, folks. Bringing back my audio. Please, they said they're going to have no trouble with sound. And Denise London Welchman, Lorna Calvin, and Joylyn Cook Abiola, and all the other folks. Lorna, Joylyn Patricia, Lyndon Gill, and Bailal, and Michaela Andrews. All you folks for joining us this evening. Share the live before you go. Smash that emoji button as well. And folks, you know, I want you guys to support this business that has, before you guys run off, an event coming up over the weekend. Bring up for us, guys, that event coming up. Let's give them a shout out quickly as promised. They have that event coming. Let me see what I have at my end. You can probably put it up from my end. Got that huge event coming up this weekend. That pop up. They have that pop up and brunch coming up over the weekend. Yep, there it is. That pop up and brunch coming up over the weekend. And guys, support them, right? JLU, it says, covers all your holiday yearnings this weekend with their highly anticipated pop-up and brunch. Admission is free, they tell us, and you're welcome, guys, to get some delicious Guyanese and American cuisine from some of Brooklyn's best chefs. It's happening in Brooklyn, folks, and they're telling us that once you're fully satisfied, be sure to check out their natural, talented vendors. They're very, very talented vendors, specializing in skincare and candle and jewelry, cosmetics, and so much more. Of course, it's Newkirk Avenue in Brooklyn there. You see all the information there, and they start at 12 and they go until 6 on Saturday. Newkirk in Brooklyn. Support, guys. It's pop-up and brunch It's pop up and brunch. I don't know if the guys are ready. First, pop up and brunch. Support. Yeah, support. It's happening in Brooklyn. If you're close by, be sure to stop in. They got a lot of goodies for you folks there. A lot of goodies for you folks down in Brooklyn. Yep. Pop up and brunch, folks. Pop up and brunch. The guys can take it away as soon as they're ready. Pop up and brunch.
Merry New Year, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, this is straight, die-hard, genuine, authentic IT. This is how the story goes. I went to public utilities and tell them disconnect them facilities, cause me want them. I tried to contact the ombudsman, but never in office. I'm going to file me an injunction on the public service. But every time a heavy rain fall, I me don't have no current at all. They spoil my TV, they spoil my fridge, they nearly kill me with low voltage. Now before they make me a lunatic, I'm going back to basic. I'm going and get a flambeau and lamp with a wick. I'm going back to basic. I call my fans and I call my friends to let them know that if they have a message to send, tell Tembo. And if they come home and they see me, tell me neighbor, go get a pen and a writing pad and write a letter. Cause DSPT does make me weep. One of the days when old talk was cheap, I make a phone call to Alvaro and I get a phone bill to Mexico. Oh my lad, before they kill me and kill me quick, I'm going back to basic. A piece of marling and two climpan wouldn't do the trick. I'm going back to basic.